my burgeoning video gamers right here.
All right. Oh.
Okay. And we're going to have, let's see, are you guys all there? Yep, we're going to probably have one more student joining us in just a moment, but they can go ahead and get caught up. Guys, do you want to say hello?
Hello.
How's it going? So how's everybody doing? You guys are in the 4th grade?
Yes.
All right. So before we even start, let's do this. Let's list some of your favorite video games so that we could, go into depth about them and talk about them, about what makes them great. So just, what are some of your favorite video games?
Minecraft.
I knew that was happening. I already have that one prepped. So, well, Minecraft's one. What's the other ones?
Portal 2.
Just to let you know, my shirt that I'm wearing right now is a Portal shirt.
Oh yeah.
Got the mouse with the Portal gun on the back. Him coming at the other end. Yeah, that's one of my favorite games. So Portal 2, which is much better than the first one, but there's a couple differences that we'll talk about between the first and second. What other ones do you like?
Perfect.
Which one?
Dude, Perfect.
I don't think I've heard about that one. Is that for the PC?
No, it's like tablet.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Perfect. Too Perfect? That's what it's called?
No, Dude Perfect.
Oh, Do Perfect. Okay, sorry. Oh, okay, I gotcha. All right. What else?
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. Okay. And let's get another 2 in here.
Halo.
Halo. Okay.
Gears of War. Oh yeah.
Gears of War. All right.
And Terraria.
Oh, Terraria. Okay, so I'm going to put that up there with Minecraft since they're both building.
Yeah.
Terraria, Call of Duty, Halo, and Gears of War are all first/third-person shooters, depending on which mode you're in.
Yeah.
Let's see. So you have these ones are Minecraft and Terraria. They're sandbox games. So sandbox building.
Yeah.
Portal 2, it's sort of first-person shooter, but it's more puzzle game than anything.
Yeah.
Call of Duty and Halo, you have first-person shooter/third-person shooter. Do you guys, what are their ones? There's RPGs. You guys like any specific RPGs at all? Have you heard of Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll put Final Fantasy in there. We'll do my favorite one, Final Fantasy VII. What other types of genres do you guys like?
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid, okay, so MGS. That is also a shooter, but it's also a storyline stealth shooter. And another one that's like that, there was Metal Gear Solid Splinter Cell. Have you guys heard of that one before?
Yes.
It's a Tom Clancy game. Here, let me load this up. Splinter Cell. You guys may recognize that, but it's another stealth shooter game, just like Metal Gear Solid, where you can go through the entire game shooting, or you can go through it sneaking around and not really have to shoot anybody. And then let's see, what other genres can you guys think of?
Agario.io.
I don't know how to pronounce
Oh yeah, agar.io. That one, I don't even know how to classify that one. That might be more. Have you guys heard of incremental games before?
No.
Games. Oh, sorry, my controller that I have, I rebound the keys, and this one is set to S to save, so that's why you see all the S's appearing on my screen. So in incremental games, there's a game called like Tap Adventure that has it, where you start off with nothing, then you start getting a little bit more gold. You put that in, get stronger and stronger, while the enemies get stronger. You've heard of Cookie Clicker, right?
Yes. Yeah, obviously.
That's what started off the incremental game genre. So you start off with nothing, and then you get more and more and more cookies, and then you buy more stuff, and then they get incrementally more expensive, and then you buy more expensive stuff, and then it gets stronger and stronger. That's called an incremental game. And then Agario, of course, you're doing that in a co-op setting.
Yeah.
So these are some good starts. Also, here's a big one that literally started off the video game genre with the regular Nintendo. We have platforming. So of course you have Super Mario, you have Sonic the Hedgehog, and what other platformers do you like?
Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
That's a fighting game. That's another genre. kind of game is Super Smash Brothers. And there's a whole lot of other ones, but this is a good list to start off. I also like Donkey Kong Country. Those are always good. So this is a very good list of things to start off with. So you guys are starting with Scratch, right? Scratch is the coding software.
Yeah.
So I've been working on some stuff as well. I don't use Scratch. I use a program called Game Maker, which lets me code in objects from scratch. It lets me load up any type of object and add coding to it. But I think what you guys wanted to learn more about is game design, not the coding. Since that's the class that you're doing right now, you're going to be learning a lot about that there. You want to learn about what goes into making games and designing them and really making them good and not boring and make them pull in more people and not shy them away. So let's start off with this. Everybody knows the game Monopoly, right? So with Scratch, this is one that I found online about Monopoly. So you have different codings, you have all the props, and this is just something that's very basic. So let's break it down and what goes into an actual game. First off, you have graphics. You always need something that pops out at you that looks good. You always want people to look at it and think immediately, I want to play that right now. It looks amazing. Or it looks very interesting, and one of the key things that goes into that is graphics. So Monopoly is very unique. If you see this, you'll know automatically. Everybody knows it's Monopoly. It's very unique, and it's very recognizable. Also, you have to have some story. If you have a board game or a video game, usually story goes into it as well. You have different designs. You want to make sure that you know what genre your game is going to be in, what type of people you want to try to bring to play the game itself, or if you want to make it a very generalized game that anybody could play, like a Facebook game that could really draw in a lot more people. So you have design, story, you have graphics, images that goes into the graphics. You could have videos, you could have GIFs, any animations that go into the graphics itself. The storyline, you always want to break down into a couple of things. Who's the character that you want to be playing? What are the pieces that are going to be playing into the storyline? Is there going to be what type of worlds are you going to be in the game? You guys are mainly focusing on video games, so let me close this for a second and just let's go to, let's say, Minecraft. So if you go into Minecraft, actually, let me load up my Minecraft. I think I still have it on my computer. I haven't played it in a while.
Oh, yeah.
But let me this is probably a very old launcher. Let's see here. I think that's my password. It's been a very long time. Yeah, okay, I can't remember my login. It's way too long. But what we'll do here, and that's I want to show you guys a lot of different things. But let's say that you go into Minecraft, right? This is just the main screen. There's a lot of things that go into Minecraft in the first place. First, if you're designing a game from scratch, what did Notch do when he first came up with the idea for Minecraft? He thought, okay, what is going to be bringing in people in? I want to create a game that people could build on, make their own universe, so it's going to be sandbox. But how do I go about doing that? He had a little bit of coding experience, and he thought, okay, well, why don't I make a game where people could put blocks down everywhere? So that's good. But then the next step is making the blocks itself. So he went through, basically looked at all different types of terrains and thought, okay, I need to make a dirt block. I need to make a grass block. If I go into a desert, I need to make a desert block. I need to make stone blocks for that. If I go into more construction field, I need to make a cobblestone. If I do anything else, I need to make a smooth stone maybe. And there's but then, okay, if I want to make trees, I have to have the wood that goes into the trees, the leaves that go into the trees. Okay, that's great for the environment. Now, who's my player? Okay, we have the player Steve. How does he look? I have to design how he looks. What is he going to use? Okay, well, he could dig, so I need a shovel. He could mine, so I need a pickaxe. He could fight enemies, so he has a sword. Wait, I need enemies. Let's make a list of all these different enemies. We have creepers. We have skeletons. We have netherghasts. We have, what's nether? Okay, that's a whole nother word. So it's a lot of things. Just from that one little ramble, there's so many different things. And I didn't even mention pets. I didn't mention experience. I didn't mention leveling up. I didn't mention crafting. There's so many different things that go into making a game that you want to make sure that when people play, they think like that and do it. They say, oh, okay, I have a shovel. Let me dig. And then that happens to them. So there's so many different things that go into making a game. I've been developing my own game. So It's a platformer. So have you guys ever heard of the game I Want to Be the Guy or I Want to Be the Bashi?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So with I Want to Be the Bashi, here, let me show you this picture. You guys might recognize this little sprite over here with I Want to Be the Bashi. It's called a fan game, so it takes it. You can't sell it or distribute it because it has all the characters are Kirby. You have Pedo Bear. You have Neon Cat. You have Mega Man, Yoshi, Ness. All these characters are licensed, so you can't take them. But for fan games, you're allowed to do whatever you want. So with the fan game, it's like this one I've been making right now. Let me load it up right here. Basically what happens with this one, and let me load it up here. So when people are introduced to this game itself, they get loaded in. There's going to be a couple of cutscenes, a couple of videos, but I wanted to show you the raw game itself. Let me go to level 1, and I'll talk a little bit more about actually developing the game. So with this game, people are introduced. This is the first level. It's literally a 1. The second level after that is a 2, 3, 4. I wanted to make it very in your face, literal. And what happens here is the blocks don't kill you, but the spikes do kill you. So what happens here is people, and this is more of a harder fan game, this is called a precision platformer. So you have to be exactly where you are, and you have like pixels that you could not get hit by. So with this game, this is a very specific genre where people know that, okay, I have to get to the next checkpoint, I have to get to the next save point, and that's it. But just looking at this one game, how many different elements do you see? You see the character that you start with. You see the blocks on the screen that you look at. You have the spikes that kill you. You have a background. These are called save points that you have here, like little checkpoints. There are little gimmicks. So let me turn on God mode just so I could walk over here. And this gimmick is a rotating gimmick, so it makes the entire screen rotate upside down, and now you play it upside down. And then you also have an end portal here, which if I jump into, it goes to the next level. So there's a whole list of different things that you need to do for level specific, but this is just one specific level in the game. So let me show you guys. I actually I'm working with a separate person who's a lot better at coding than I am. I think that's a key thing to do. If you're developing games, usually let's say that you have a game like Portal. You have a team, a whole bunch of people that are dedicated to the storyline. You have a whole bunch of people that are dedicated to game design. And within that, you have people that are dedicated to graphics and animation. You have other people that are dedicated to creating the creative process of sketching it out, literally sketching it out either on a tablet or on a piece of paper and then scanning it in, of creating those things in the first place and then recreating them as images or sprites or models. You have a whole team that's dedicated to sound and music. So you have all these different people. So if you're creating a game, yes, it's great to learn all these things on your own, but it's also good to collaborate with other people that might have different, better skill sets, or have, or just splitting up the tasks so that you know exactly, okay, I could work on the first world. Okay, I'll work on the ice world. Okay, I'll work on the fire world. Okay, I'll work on the space world. All just working with other people. So find out what you're really good at and find out what other people are good at and use your talents. So I was good at coding when I was in high school, but over the past, 11 years, I forgot pretty much everything I knew about C+ or Java or any other runtime coding languages. So I'm good at graphics. I'm good at storyline. I'm good at creating imagery and text and a lot of other things, but I'm not good at coding. So I'm working with somebody else who is good at coding. And what we've done is we made a spreadsheet that includes every piece of information that's needed here and what we could work with. So the best thing to do when you're creating a game is start from scratch. What is the type of game? This one is a precision platformer. We're part of a community that has to do with these guy games, as they're called. They're fan games. So I thought, okay, first off, how many levels do I want to have in this fan game? So I thought, okay, it's a 100 floor. I'll start from 1 to 100, and then the twist at the end, you're not done yet. It's going to go back from 100 to level 1. And just to let you guys know, other than me and this coder, nobody else in the community knows that. So when this game is released, that's going to be the big twist at the very end, and people are going to have a whole nother game to play. So you guys know that secret. So, but basically, so that's 200 levels. But also, I don't want regular levels as well, just regular levels. I'm going to have 10 secret levels in here as well that people need to find. But then also, I want a boss level. I want certain things that if you get all the secrets, you will unlock another level. So that's where this weird number 221 comes into play. There's 5 worlds with 20 normal levels. So 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. There's 5 worlds, 100 levels per ending. There's 2 secrets a world. Then there's a special levels after each one. Okay, so that's one thing, creating the base thing of what I want to do with the level-wise. Now, how do I want to end the game? Do I want to have a single ending, or do I want to do, like, multiple endings? Do I want to have a good ending, an evil ending? Let's say with, I haven't played Minecraft Story Mode yet, so I'm pretty sure there's just one ending, but there's a game called, it does?
Yeah, it's a good ending.
Okay. So there are games that have multiple endings. There's a game called Walking Dead or Fable. Either one of those, it's basically a make your own choice game. You could choose to be good, you could choose to be evil. There's Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, that's the same way. And based on how you play, you may get a completely different ending. Like with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, if you play as a good guy and you become a paladin, or no, that's Mass Effect that you do that one. Have you guys played Mass Effect before?
Yes.
Okay, so in that game, you could become what's called a paladin and basically become a savior of the council, the world, and everything else like that. And by the time that you end the game, the ending itself, you saved everybody, everybody's there, they congratulate you, great. Or you could play it as completely evil, destroy everybody. By the time that you're ending, there's nobody else to congratulate you, and you're basically the one that has to rebuild everything because everybody else, isn't there anymore. They're all dead. So you have to come up with, do you want to create one ending or a bad ending, or maybe an ending that's somewhere in the middle? So just that's part of the storyline. You create achievements. So in this game, I have achievements that are based on secrets. They're based on completing the levels. They're based on hidden things. They're based on doing things a specific way. The plot is very important, but you could create the plot afterwards. You can maybe create like this is a plot that I created in maybe like 5 or 6 minutes, maybe this part over here, in a very generic setting. Then I thought, okay, what characters do I want to make? I wrote down my list of characters. I have the king, the duchess, the kid, and for this game, there's only a very few amount of characters. But then, okay, what objects do I want to have? Okay, I want an artifact. I want something called a divine star, which are little pickups. Okay, now what do I want to do with them? And basically take all the objects that you want to have, the endings that you want, the atmosphere that you want to be created in, the people that you want to be involved in that, and think, okay, how do I want to make a story out of this? And having all that information in front of you will really help with creating the game as a whole. So what I did with this one, I had the entire plot line. Okay, so you're the kid. That's the guy's name in this specific type of genre. So I have the kid. I have my enemies. My enemies are the king and the duchess, right over here. Then I want to collect these specific things in the celestial artifact, divine star, and then now how I want to connect it together. Okay, let's say that I find this specific object. It gives me power, which lets me go on and take on the kingdom that we need to do to save our kingdom. Okay, so we'll start with that. Then how many of these artifacts do I want to collect? Okay, there are 11 of these. I have to collect all of them in order to, be powerful enough to take on the king. Because a very common theme is you start off weak and you get strong enough that you're able to take on this guy or this girl or anybody else or this empire or this corporation or these sets of bosses or anything else in order to become powerful enough to become the savior or to become the person that is strong enough to, save the world, or if you want to become an evil person, to take out the world or anything else like that. It's a very common theme to start off weak and get stronger. So after you create your storyline, so already we have an overview, we have achievements, we have characters, you have objects, you have and you have the plot, that's storyline. That's 4 major things already. The next up is the world itself. Now that you know what the worlds are, what do they look like? So I'll go all the way down here. So we have just the first world alone. This one's called Crystal Fractures. It is this world right over here. You have to have what the design is. That's the 5th one right over here. So for this one, I wanted to have all these look like crystals. So all these different floors and everything like that are different crystals. and I wanted the background to be fractured. That's where it's literal crystal fractures. I have the name of the blocks and then the name of the background. For a level like this is gridded ambience. So it's gridded levels and the background is all ambience. For the third world, which I promptly died in, this is called Shattered Rainbow. So on this level, all the blocks are shattered glass, and the background is, let me go back into my folder here. My backgrounds, they start off as red. It's very basic because the background is going to be pulsing with the music. But you have the background is going to be turning from red all the way throughout the rainbow, and then the other side is going to be the opposite way. So this one's called Shattered Rainbow. The fourth one is going to be striped voltage. So it's going to be, you know, electric backgrounds like this, and the background's going to be pulsing with that. And then the fifth one is going to look like a King's Palace. I haven't actually made that one yet. But so that's major things there. So design is a fifth one. But you heard me mention music, right? I have an entire soundtrack, 23 tracks. It started off as 15 tracks. I thought, okay, I'll create 15 tracks, one per level, and then the boss theme and the intro. But in the weeks that I took to go through and create more of the game and design it more, I realized I needed a lot more tracks, 8 more tracks. So it ended up being 23 in the end. So music is the sixth one. That's number 6. Then you have the gimmicks are in the level. Gimmicks are like in Super Mario. The gimmick is you can knock on the block. You could hit your head on a question mark block and an object will come out. But then what are those objects? Those objects are, let's say, the regular mushroom. It makes you bigger. The leaf, it turns you into the Tanuki in Super Mario Brothers 3. If you're in Super Mario Brothers World, you get the cape. It lets you fly. You can get the fire flower. It lets you shoot out fire. Let's go to the other games that you mentioned. Portal 2, its main gimmick is the portal gun. It lets you shoot a blue portal and an orange portal and lets you walk through that. That's a big gimmick. But then there's also other gimmicks in there. You have a jump pad that you jump on and it launches you somewhere else. You have the companion cube, which you could use to, put down on pressure plates. You go to Call of Duty. You have kill streaks is a big gimmick. But what are in the kill streaks? You could call down an airstrike. You could have it so that you could see the radar. You could see other people. You could do so many different things. In Halo, you have the different weapons, but what do they do? Okay, the plasma sword, you could go and if you're within a certain range, you could kill them. But then you also have different parts of the level itself that helps you out. Gears of War, you have, let's say, I haven't played Gears of War in years, but you have specific weapons where you have a mortar that you could shoot out. But also the level itself, sometimes the level crumbles away, or sometimes you could create, you could blast through a door, and that's a new pathway. With Final Fantasy VII, the entire thing has gimmicks in it. You have materia that you could put onto your weapon to use different pieces of magic, or make it so that you could hit multiple enemies at once, or you could stop time, or you could get strong, you could get faster. Metal Gear Solid, there's so many different things in there. You could use different objects. In Splinter Cell, same thing. One of its gimmicks is there's a pole up there. Okay, let's go up and climb on the pole and wait for somebody to come down, and then we could grab him. With Agario, the basic thing, like, yes, you could take over other people if you're big enough that you could swallow them. But there's also little dots on the ground that you could get bigger. There's stars that you could hide in if you're smaller enough, and the stars, consequently, if you're big enough, will break you apart. In Cookie Clicker, you have, let me go back to that over there. Where's my Cookie Clicker? Right over here. In Cookie Clicker, you have different levels, but the gimmicks are little achievements that make you stronger. So if I'm mouse over here, now all of a sudden, I have more cookies over here. If in the alchemy lab, now all of a sudden I'm cooking a lot more. But also the gimmicks are like things that you can pick up. Once in a while, there's a golden cookie over there that'll give you a special item, or will give you either more production per minute, or make you stronger per click, or just give you a lump sum of cookies. In Super Mario, I already covered that. In Sonic the Hedgehog, there are like spin blocks that you can go on and it'll automatically go faster. Or there's I don't know, there's jumping pads, there's homing attacks, but then you have the enemies. And then let's say with or Donkey Kong Country is the same exact thing. You have so many different parts of the level. There's moving objects. With Super Smash Brothers, There is different things that happen. So if you're in wispy woods, maybe the winds will push you off the level. If you're in, the space level with the giant hand, maybe a couple of times it'll come down. Or if you're on the R-wing with Star Fox, maybe the R-wing will be moving along, and you also have it blasting off a couple of times, so you could throw somebody into the burner. Or there's so many different things. Gimmicks are what make a lot more depth into your game. That you have the base game is great, but then you have the gimmicks which make it a lot better. There are things that enhance the gameplay. So in this game, let me go back to it again. In Inversion, there's a couple of gimmicks. There's something called inversion nodes. Basically, inversion means it's the opposite of itself. So in this game, this one's not going to work per se, but just to show you what it looks like. In this game, let me turn on God mode as well. Once you get to the, I turned off God mode by mistake. There we go. So in this game, one of the gimmicks is you could rotate the entire level or flip it vertically, horizontally. So if I go to level 3, instead of it going around in a circle, this one flips it vertically. So that's a gimmick there. But then there are other gimmicks that maybe it makes your gun a little bit different. You could shoot fire bullets as well and melt stuff. You could shoot things that spin the blocks on their own. You could shoot and it makes it bounce off the blocks. You have objects that you could change. There are things that make you jump up more. There are things that you could grab the blocks instead. You could swap the blocks and make a spike which kills you into a block which doesn't, and you can jump on the block. There are auras that you could do to make it, you make yourself float slower so that it's like low gravity. You can make it so that the game is sped up, or you could go faster or slower. Those are different things that are added onto the game that make it a lot better. So that's number 7, gimmicks or mechanics, which enhance the game past the basics. And then, of course, all the characters. So I have basically these are boss fights. I have exactly what they do. This is the final boss. I still haven't done the secret final boss, but those are different things. So that's 7 things on its own that you have to worry about just for the gameplay. Behind that, though, you guys know what a UI is, a user interface? Or a heads-up display, a HUD. They're basically menus. So like with Call of Duty, well, let's do Call of Duty 2, which is my favorite one. Call of Duty 2 HUD. What does it look like? You have a radar on the bottom left. Do I have this activated? Okay. So on the very bottom left, you have your compass to let you know where you're going. You have to let you know if you're crouched or prone. You have on the right your ammo and how many bullets are in your magazine. This one's actually Call of Duty 3. This is a Treyarch game, but all right, whatever. On the top left, you have how much time is left, or you have your collections. On the top, you have your waypoints or what your goal is for that level. On the top right, you have maybe your stats about the game. You could put your FPS. If you have an online game, you could put the ping. You could have your rank, how much money you have. These are different HUDs. So let's go to. I don't think Portal really has a HUD. Okay, well, you guys heard of Dota, right? Or League of Legends. Yeah. These are they're called MOBAs. They're multiplayer online battle arenas. Your HUD basically has the map, like for Dota at least. It has the map on the very bottom left. You have your character and your levels right over here. You have your stats. You have your abilities. You have your items. And then you have what's happening on the map or what you want to buy. On the very top, you have your teammates, the time, your kills. You have any options up here. So that's just a user interface. You want to make sure that your game is welcoming to people, isn't too complicated, or if it does get complicated, you lead them into it bit by bit. And it's able for the people to control what's happening on screen or give them hints about what's happening on the screen so that they're able to play the game without being too confused or not worry about what's going on. Let's say for Minecraft HUD. In this one, well, this is also an advanced HUD with a couple of mods on it, but just a basic HUD. That's usually just on the bottom. Don't worry about this. Is a compass. This is your materials. That's one thing. But just on the bottom, you have all of your equipment. You have your hunger level. You have your life. If you have armor, and then you have your experience. It tells you very straightforward how much you have, how much you need to get to if it's experience-wise, and how much you may be losing if you get hit or if you're starting to become hungry. So that's a HUD. It's very important for you to present people with that information. If you don't have a HUD though, and you want it to be very simple, some games allow that. Like with let's say Super Mario. Let's do Super Mario World. Your HUD is very basic in Super Mario World. It's your lives, it's how much points you have, it's whatever items, your time, and your score and your points. But there's also a game like Donkey Kong Country, which doesn't have a HUD. Like in the advanced ones, it has your life points, but like that's your HUD, your life, and that's it. If you go to the original Donkey Kong Country, it didn't even have that. Like you're playing through the level and you're like this. What your HUD was basically pops up if you get in Banana, which are coins in Sonic, which are coins in Mario, which are rings in Sonic, so many different things, but they only pop up when you get them, or the KONG. They only pop up when you get them. Other than that, the game's very basic. But so it really depends if you want to go in depth with the HUD or keep it very simple. But you also need that in order to let the player know what's going on. Let's say for an incremental game like Cookie Clicker, your HUD is basically on the right side over here. Your user interface is, you have on the very right side all the images, all the places or people that you could buy. You have your achievements that you can get stronger. On the very left side, you have where you click. And in the middle, it shows you exactly where everything is. So there's 3 different things already. And then on the very top, what's even more important is your menu screen. A menu is also very important to your game. It lets people change the options. It lets people save or load their game. It lets them change the graphics if they want to make it look more fancy, if you want to do everything else. Let's say that we go to a game like, let's do, what's a good game on here to showcase with that? Final Fantasy. With RPGs, RPGs have very in-depth menus. So just on this one, come on, there we go. So just in this one, you have your item menu, which you go into, your magic, the material, which is your basically magic equipping, your weapon equipments, changing your status, the order of your characters, your power-ups, and then your configuration, which lets you change colors, sounds, sound levels, sound effects levels, how fast the battle text goes, how slow you move on the map. If you want to turn on like a safe mode, if there's maybe blood in your game, turn it on and off to be better for your young children. And then we also have your information about your characters and all that in here, or your game time, your money, where you are. So menus are also very important for showing basically what's in the game. In a game like this, if you pause it, it'll show you how many different items you have, what power-ups you have, if you've collected X amount of secrets so far, if you have the world that you're in, what music is playing right now, just to have that information given to you. Making sure that that the person who's playing has all information at their fingertips. Even a game that's like an incremental game, which is supposed to be meant for everybody, or like Farmville. If you go into the menu, it shows you a list of every single thing you need. You might have a tutorial which explains that to you as well. So like in this one, your menu could be right over here. You have an options, turning on sounds, making floating numbers like this. You could turn it off to make it neater. You could have vibration settings on here, and so many different things on here. So your menu is also very important for if people want to take a break and pause and do it from there. So those are pretty major things. Other than that, let me see what else is on here. You have I showed you the worlds before. The list of what the levels are, what the level has, what's in the level itself. So like what type of blocks, what type of gimmicks you're using, what it looks like, and what changes in the designs. And then you have the scenes and everything else. Or you could have a main hub which has all the levels in it, and you could choose. So there's a lot of different things that go into game design. What I would suggest is making a list of the storyline, the images that you want, or videos or graphics, what else is in there? Any achievements that you want, the gimmicks that are in your levels, the level design itself, like the worlds or anything else like that, music that you want in it as well. And the last one, I forgot already, but the characters in the game. So that's 7 things already. just make a whole list of things. So again, it's with the layout, your worlds, your achievements, the gimmicks in it, the characters, the imagery, graphics, or videos, anything visual, music, and I already forgot the last one. I'm so sorry, but yeah, that's everything else in there. So let's go to Minecraft just one last time. With Minecraft, let's break that down. What's involved with all that? So with Minecraft story mode, I'm not sure what the story is, but you guys know what it is already. You know, so you have a storyline. That's one thing. The characters. Okay, I have Steve. I have the wolf. I have the creeper, the skeleton archer. I have the sheep. Create your characters. What does the world look like? Okay, well in this world, this is a grass world, but then there's also desert. There's also the Nether, which is a completely separate world. You have maybe jungle. You have ocean. So that's the third thing right there. That's all the different worlds that are around there. And then fourth thing is the graphics for all of them. What does Steve look like? What does a creeper look like? What aesthetic do I want to go with? With Minecraft, it's more like, it's not cell shaded, but it's very basic shading. It's three-dimensional in a very blocky setting. For Portal, the aesthetic that I want to do is more smooth, and I want to make it look more realistic. For Call of Duty, I want it to look as realistic as possible. In a game like Gears of War, I want to make it look very dark and depressing and evil. In let's say Agario, I want it to look as minimalist as possible because people won't care about it. They care about the gameplay. Gameplay. What is the gameplay going to be like? What is the genre going to be like? Is it going to be a first-person shooter? Is it going to be a platformer? Is it going to be a basic incremental game? Is it going to be a puzzle game? Is it going to be an RPG? It's another major thing. The plot is with the storyline, and what gimmicks do I have? Okay, number 6 is gimmicks. I could dig. I could fight. I could mine. I could craft. All those different things. Those are gameplay and gimmicks. And I mean, what else do you guys see in here that goes into it? The coding, which you guys are. How do I make this guy move? How do I make this go from A to B? If I hit something, does it break in one shot? So if object is hit with pickaxe, then object breaks in 2 hits. So something like that. Or if you hit a tree and you stop hitting the tree, it regenerates. So let's say that I do, if player hits tree, then tree will die in 7 hits unless there is 3 seconds in between a hit, then tree will generate at X amount of hits per second. There's a lot of things that go into it with coding, which you guys are going to learn. And going through this, again, I'm not that good of a coder, but I know the mindset behind creating things. So let's say that I go into, that's Bashi. I think I might have closed it already. There it is. Yeah, there we go. So if I go into my game and I say, okay, well, I want my character to go on these platforms. Okay, I have to code first. Let me go into the actual coding aspect of this. Let's say that I go into this one single block. My object I need to create to be solid so that if player connects with sprite, then they will hit it and not go through it. I might have a different one like my save point, or let's say my a save point's right over here. If I go to this and edit object, I make sure that it's not solid. A player can pass through it. But then how do I program a save point? Well, first off, I have to execute the code. So my code, this is just saying where it is on the level. I want to say, okay, well, the save point is static. It's not moving. So I need the image to be, in this case, the save point is a GIF. So in this case, well, in this specific one, my save point is moving, and I'll go into like the first world over here. And my save point, yes, it may look like this, but it's actually broken down so that when you hit it, it flips, or in this case, it rotates. That's why I want my save point to look like. It starts off like this. So in this case, I have to say, okay, the save point starts off at no speed. But if I hit the save point, start the image, it goes all the way around, and it loops out. Once it's done looping back to the beginning, it stops. So that's what this is. Image speed 0, and then once it's hit, so I execute this code over here, the first step of that is to change the timer. But then the other step with the animation, image speed is now 1. So it starts the image and it goes at a certain amount of speed. Once it's done, the animation end says my image speed is now 0 again, and the index is 0, goes back to the very beginning. And that's just for a save point. So there's a lot of things going to it. For regular blocks, you might have just very basic things. In this case, I have to make sure that it creates an image and it deals with the room correctly. If I want it to fade away, so let's say in this specific thing, when I restart the level, when I flip, these blocks are here, right? But when I want the room to flip, I don't want these flags here. So I have a fade flag onto here. So let me load up the game again. And I want, I want to say, okay, well, I don't want all the blocks to be there, so I could actually play the game and get to the very end. So let me load this up here. Go to that level once more, the third level. Again, these blocks go away. So if you keep an eye on these, they'll flip up to the very top. Oh, turn on God mode again. Also, when you're developing, if you're testing, you might want to use God mode so you can get through the level a lot easier to test out. See here, those blocks aren't there anymore. So you have to code in different things with that. If I have an imagery over here, so let's say that I have the gimmicks in the game. I want my level to flip. This might be a little bit more complicated coding because you have to say, okay, if you touch this, then the room flips over. How do I do that? Okay, I have to create a center point in the room, and then I have to say rotate around that center point. Okay, I want to flip it. Okay, I want to create a center line. And now I need to make a code that says, okay, the line is at this point. I want to flip it over this way. Let's say that I want to have a gun casing. Like that, in this case, it makes your gun turn into a fire gun. I have to say, if you have this pickup, then shoot this specific, this specific bullet with its specific properties. If you go to Minecraft, what's the difference between a wooden pickaxe and an obsidian an emerald pickaxe or a diamond pickaxe? You have different strengths. So with the diamond pickaxe, your strength might be 20, but you have to assign maybe a strength of 1 to that wooden pickaxe so that that pickaxe is stronger. So you'll learn about that in classes, but in order for you to learn about that, you have to say, okay, what types of material do I want? Wood, stone, ruby, diamond, all these different things, or iron, or gold, and say, okay, do I want what order of strength do I want to make this in? And then go from there and say, okay, well, this one has to be greater than this one has to be greater than this one. And once you have that layout of different things that you want, different weapons, different objects, and say what you want them to do, it's easier for you to code that in order to, make it so that it goes with what you want. So like, again, if you have a sword, your diamond sword will be stronger than a wood sword. So make your sword deal 20 damage if it's diamond, but only deal 2 damage if it's wood. And let's say that you have an enemy, a creeper dies in, let's say creeper has a health of 30. So if you hit him twice with diamond, he'll die because it's 20 plus 20, greater than his health. Then you have to say if creeper goes to 0 health or below, it dies. So there's a lot of different things that go into it, but creating a complete layout of all these different things that I mentioned with the gimmicks, with the characters, with design, that will let you code a lot easier because you know where you're going from your layout, and you work from there with coding. And it's a lot easier to start as a whole and then go to coding and then not have to redo the code again from scratch. It really helps out a lot. So do you guys have any questions about designing, about what goes into it, or what maybe some ideas that you guys have for games that you would like to design?
How long do you think it would take to create, an average video game and edit it?
It really depends on what type of game. Again, I'm not a game developer. I just do this on my own. I've been developing this for quite some time. Let me just give you an idea. So I use Photoshop to work with all my images. In this game, I have, let me load up all these. Just with sprites alone for the levels, I have 500 different files. A lot of them, though, I just copy and paste and rotate. So like, let's say with this spike, I created this spike, and then I just rotated it to be top, and that's another spike. So probably 120 different images. Creating these images took maybe around 20 hours or so, but that's also including like the backgrounds, and that I just went very in depth. This is not for the average person. If you're creating the sprites, it might take you a couple of hours to create some basic sprites. If you know Photoshop at all, it's good to, here, let me load this up over here. If you know Photoshop at all, it's very easy to create different images, either with 2D sprites or more, difficult characters. In this case, this is my images that I had to do. I had to create, like, let's say going from left to right, all these different boxes, which I just paste in. Then I have to create what's in the center with the saves. If I want to make it different sides, if I want to make it go this way or that way. Imaging takes a long time, but before you go into actually creating the images, make a list of what you need so you don't create too many images. From a coding standpoint, let's say I could have said, okay, if I was creating this level, instead of creating like up, down, left, right spikes, I could have just said, okay, put the spike in and rotate it for me, so I don't need to create too many graphics. You could do that if you're not too good at graphics, but you're better at coding. You could say, okay, well, just turn the spike to the right once I put it in. Or if you're doing a level with like an RPG, to say, okay, just change the hue of this to be red to blue, because I don't want to create a different sprite for every single color. It takes time to create the graphics. If you want to create your own music, that might be a little bit harder. It took me about 4 or 5 months to create my soundtrack, but I created everything from scratch. You could also record your own music if you want to, like, if you're good at, like, with keyboards or guitars, you could make your own music and record that. Creating the storyline, it really depends. If you don't want to create 2D, like a very basic storyline, it could take you a couple of hours to make it. It really depends on how much you want to go into it, but development for an average game could maybe take like 20 or 30 hours. If you want to make a basic game, which people could just play online, it can maybe take you like 5 or 6 hours if you have the skills with coding to code it. It really depends on how much you know. If you're coding and you could do stuff, I know people that created a game in an hour, and it was a basic game. It wasn't too good of a game because they didn't really put too much thought into it, but it was enough to keep somebody entertained. Like, it didn't have a storyline. It was just very basic. It just said, get to point A from A to point B. But it all depends on how much work you want to put into a game. RPGs take longer. Shooters might take less. But it all depends on what type of game you want to play, or what you want people to play.
Guys, did you have any last questions? I think he's been incredibly helpful.
What's the name of the game you're designing?
It's called I Want to Make an Inversion. With this community, it's called it's called the I Wanna game. So I want to be the Bashi. I want to be the guy. This one, almost all of them start with I want to X. So I want to be the Outbreak. I want to RIZ. I want to be the Outline. I want to be, all these different things. So in this case, it's I want to make an inversion. So it just plays in with everything else.
How do you make a video game on a disc?
On a disc, when you after you stop coding the game and you put it into its final form, what you do is you render it into an executable form, and you could burn that to a disk in, I believe, there's a certain way in order to burn it to a disk so that it plays automatically. You use DLL files in order to make it launch from your computer, and then you have executable files and a startup file. Basically, you have to make sure that it's an application that you could if you want to have it autoplay, so when people put in the disk, it pops up automatically. You have autoplay, you have a DLL file in order to make your computer be able to use the plugins on it, and you have to create the executable file, which is the file that you render in the first place that people could open up. That it's .exe if it's on a PC. You double click that, and it opens up and it loads up your game completely. Depending on what you're coding in and what system you're using, what language, you might have to have setup files in the background. You might have to have certain things, but once you have all that together, if you burn it to the disk and have the autoplay load up that application, the executable file, it'll load up right away, and that's how you can use it from a disk.
What inspired you to make the game?
So this specific community that I was in, it's very, very simple to make games. With the this program called Game Maker, they give there are certain engines that you can load up and just literally click and drag the objects in and create your own worlds. There are literally thousands of these video games. Maybe 2 or 3% of them are good. Maybe there's only a couple of hundred that are good. A lot of the other ones are just people putting together and having fun. Some people are just starting out. And I wanted to create my own fan game. I'm a meteorologist. I'm not a video game creator. So the first fan game, I thought, you know what? Nobody's ever done this before. Why don't I make a game that's based on, weather? So this one is I Want to Survive the Cyclone. I wanted to make a game that had to do with, hurricanes and all this other stuff. So that's what I started on. I realized I don't have any experience. I want to make this good. This would probably take me hundreds of hours to do. And I made my write-up was 7 pages long. So I thought, why don't I work on a simple game? That simple game started off as 2 pages. It's now 18 pages. So that's what happens with development. But I wanted to create a game that was unique, that used my skill set, that used my music that I've created, and make it completely unique to, really blow people away and enjoy it and create just another really good game in this community that may outshine all the other bad ones.
When do you think I Want to Make an Inversion will come out?
I will have a pre-alpha for a couple of people probably in the upcoming months. By the end of the year, there should be a working version.
Okay.
And then it'll be there'll be links online for it as well. But yeah, if you're interested in fan games like this specific genre, it's a very difficult genre. It's like Super Meat Boy, very precision perfect. There's thousands of games online. If you want, it's called deliciousfruit.com.
Is it appropriate for 4th graders?
You may have to load it for them. It's only comments are really just the comments on the game may be bad. But if you go to here, Delicious Fruit, if you go to a full list and you go to the rating games, just get the good games on here. Or I could send you a list of good games, but they're all appropriate for kids. And I could send you a list of basic games that people can learn that are not too difficult and will get them interested in it. And they can see from the ground up what goes into these games.
Fantastic. Well, guys, what do you have to say?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.